Welcome to Bloodbath TV. Let me ask you a question. What would happen if you took Chris Farley and David Spade, pulled them out of a hit film, and replaced them with sheep in another film of the same name? You'd have Black Sheep 2006 edition, New Zealand.
I don't think that was necessarily the most accurate cold open, but here we are, we've made it, and we're talking about Black Sheep. It's just a movie about killer sheep. We're gonna spoil this movie, we're gonna talk about everything. We did record a full commentary if you wanna hear our first time full reaction to this movie, just talking a bunch of shit about sheep, and God, do we know so little about sheep, it seems, and New Zealand in general. Link is in the description if you're interested.
I know a little bit.
He knew one fucking town. Jesus something.
Christchurch.
Link is in the description if you're interested in learning more about New Zealand. If not, stick with us and we're gonna talk about Black Sheep. So we kick off and we've got a couple kids. One's a real dickhead and one's a normal guy. They're working on a sheep farm. The one guy goes and hacks up a sheep and he wears the carcass and scares his brother. Fast forward 15 years.
He's developed a little issue around sheep.
But he has to go and see his brother because he found out that he's selling the farm and all the land. And he's like, hey, what the fuck is going on? This is my childhood home.
And I want that money.
Brother, wearing his best checkered shirt and checkered suit,
Yeah,
cuts him a $2 million check and says, jog on. Unfortunately, that's not the end of the story because we do have story B happening, which is like two hippies that are like trying to stop whatever's happening on the sheep farm, which is genetically modifying the sheep. I don't know what for because it seems like they're just shearing the sheep. So like, are they just making the sheep grow more hair? They're not killing the sheep to make meat or anything.
Yeah, they're not doing a good job. I tried just making more sheep.
I forgot, they were trying to clone sheep. If you just make like a sheep fucking farm, I think you're better off.
Hedonism, sheep edition, New Zealand.
Hey, I've never been to New Zealand, but I assume that's basically what it is anyway. So like, yeah, they have like a secret laboratory that they're like cloning the sheep.
They're trying to get super sheep, I guess. They're trying to do something profitable.
The hippies are trying to stop them.
Unethical.
Doesn't Grant? He runs down, he grabs a jug of sheep, and he runs back. And
I'm sorry, did you say a jug of sheep?
yes, what I meant was a container of the TMNT ooze from Secret of the Ooze that had a sheep in it.
Right, yeah.
He dropped it. He fucking tripped over a log and dropped it.
Oops.
And, well...
And what came out of that? A living...
crazy sheep that attacked him and bit him and turned him into a were-sheep. We had no idea that this movie was about were-sheep.
Or that it was going to be fucking awesome.
This movie has an incredible soundtrack. It's well shot. It has like a ton of money put behind it. And it just has such a high production value. Like the creature effects, everything is so fucking good.
This was legit, like this was a real movie. Like, usually the movies I watch here are like, you know, you filmed this with a shoe in a public library. But this was like a legitimate, there was a film crew involved. There was credits.
Well, we finally have like our three main characters hanging out together. They're just like in a house, they go into a room, and then all of a sudden the sheep just bashes through the door.
And that's when we learn like, whoa, maybe the guy who's afraid of sheep has got something, you know, maybe he knows what's going on.
Here's Dolly. They shoot him in the face.
Yeah, it took two.
You gotta double tap. The Zombieland shit, come on. They're like, okay, well, that was weird. So let's get out of here. Because they don't really know what's happening. They're just like, why is that sheep evil? But the guy is terrified, so they have to walk through this bunch of sheep because some sheep are evil, some sheep are not.
Like, I don't know, I just love like the fucking evil, the whole idea of evil sheep is just great. All throughout the movie, they're just like, bah. So fucking like absurdly silly, and I find it fantastic.
I agree, because like any other sound is likely scarier.
Usually like, oh my god, you know, we're running through the building, we're hiding from the killer, there's like a rusty hook dragging on the ground, that's the sound that you fear, but here it's just meh.
That was a good sheep.
I spent a lot of time in New Zealand.
Watched a lot of lamb chop back in my day.
Yeah, that's it. Watched a lot of lamb chop.
This is the song that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend.
They do get into a car, and this scene was probably one of my favorites because the sheep gets in the car with them. I was just looking at this guy. I'm like, you better punch that fucking sheep in the face. And sure enough, he punches him. He smashes him into the steering wheel a few times. The funniest thing, they're like, okay, we're gonna run this sheep off the cliff. And they all jump out of the car. And the car goes off the cliff. And all you can hear is, bah!
They actually trashed a car. That's the highest production value of anything I've seen on this channel.
We get some random scenes where they fall into a hole. Yeah,
don't go in the, no dogs in the pit.
Only humans, because they go in there and it's like the descent down there and everyone's covered in sheep guts and all this crazy shit.
Series of underground tunnels.
She lights a candle for hormones.
Yes, my hormones need fucking balancing.
You're standing in a little like area and they're all roped off. There's a pit. And there's maybe 30 sheep trying to kill you. What do? You jump in the pit.
You jump in the pit.
And I got a little claustrophobic in that pit a little bit.
Well, because when they started climbing out, they were like, they were caving. And being chased by a wild sheep.
The brother ends up getting bitten.
Once you get bit, you know what happens. You turn into a were-sheep.
And the main guy gets bitten.
There's so many bites.
It was hilarious. So when they were driving, he like bites his ankle and we're like, no, he's got really strong boots. He's good. And he pops off his boot and there's a fucking hoof there. And so he's kind of removed from the main story because he's being tested on by the scientist woman.
Yeah, new character alert.
She loves it. She's like, fuck yeah.
This is the best thing ever.
We finally got a guy with a hoof.
I'm finally doing science on the sheep farm.
They do come up with a cure, which is cool, which comes into play later on.
Really quick.
I don't really get that scene.
Like, I mean, COVID took years, and these guys...
you turn into a were-sheep? I figured it out. 5 seconds.
yeah, that's something no one's ever seen or thought of before.
I just needed to reach for my giant syringe and jam it into your neck.
Yeah,
I'm
done. You're cured.
So when we're talking about were-sheep, we were waiting for like a transformation, and while we do get one later on, the first time we see like a half sheep, half man is when Grant, the boyfriend, is standing in the middle of the road, and the dickhead brother, he comes across him on the road. He's like, "Hey man, get out of the middle of the road. I'm trying to get around here."
Yeah, let me just get out and argue with you because you look like a reasonable person.
He doesn't look like a guy. He looks
terrifying. Like it's not, like you slam that shit in reverse immediately when you see that.
Oh my god. The only thing that we really get from this is he bites the brother, and then now the brother turns into a were-sheep. It's wild.
This is exactly how The Walking Dead season 1 started.
And I mean, they even recreate that scene where they're trying to infiltrate and they're trying to get through the herd of sheep, and the guy puts the sheep thing on, and he walks through and then gets fucked by a sheep.
Yeah, that old trope.
And then he stabs him in the balls with some golden shears that he won.
His dad won. Best sheep in the land.
Before we get to the final showdown, we do need to address something. We have a sheep fucker. Not you. You looked at me like, are you talking about me?
I thought you were talking about you. Sheep fucker exposed.
The brother, he's just like sitting in the study, smoking a cigarette, pantless, with like the cleanest, nicest looking sheep of the whole herd.
A little lamb.
And he said it's part of his family.
You wouldn't understand.
He does end up turning into a full-blown were-sheep, and we have a confrontation. The ranch hand realizes that he has the cure. He cures some of the people that have turned into sheep, including the brother, who was badass when he was a big-ass, beefy sheep guy. Were-sheep, we need more movies of were-sheep. They're badass. Okay, stop that.
Leave it in, but leave me out.
And then they just like blow up the sheep. The sheep were too gassy or something, and they just throw a Zippo at the sheep.
And they all blow up.
And they blow up.
And that was all you had to do. Just light them on fire.
Do you think the cleanup crew was going there like, this crime scene smells delicious?
Could use some mint jelly.
I don't know what a burning corpse...
This is not... I'm sorry, sir. This is not a crime scene. This is a farm. It seems like the farmers did some farming.
It just seems like normal because no crimes have been committed. They kill sheep. That's their job.
Fine. Sanctioned genocide.
Not to sound sheepish about all of this. We grazed over it. There was like a big massacre where there was a bunch of sheep eating all of the investors or whoever was gonna like buy the land or whatever it is. It was awesome. There was some great practical effects, a bunch of sheep eating a bunch of people. I probably can't show you most of it because it's very graphic, but it was hilarious and awesome. And you'll probably never see a scene like this again.
Yeah, that's likely.
Unless there's another sheep movie.
I don't know. Maybe this studio just deals exclusively in sheep massacres.
We're pretty drunk and we forget some of this movie. So we're just gonna finish this. It's a pretty good movie. It's
movie.
well done. The music is epic. The concept is hilarious. It's killer sheep. Why wouldn't you want to watch a movie about killer sheep? And the comedy is actually really good. It's a good time. So I'm gonna give this 3.5 new nostrils out of 5.
Unless you fancy nostrils in the back of your head, I'd not be moving if I were you.
I thought this movie was amazing. Honestly, we watched the part of the trailer briefly, and I thought I knew what to expect, but as soon as we got into it, I was blown away by the fact that it was actually acted, directed, produced all really, really well. So I enjoyed watching this the whole way through, and I'd love to see some more from this crew, actually. So I'll give this movie 4.5 fastest ways to shear a sheep out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video, comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. And if it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with everything here on Bloodbath TV, which involves weird movies, B movies, sometimes furry movies. If you're into it, subscribe!